All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of 2017, so what that means is that we are going to have to talk about our top 10 best, favorite, whatever you want to call it, films of 2017. But before we do that, let's cue the intro.
I'm so wasted.
I'm sponsored by God.
Let's start with honorable mentions. Wonder Woman is probably the best DC movie to come out since the Dark Knight trilogy. In fact, it absolutely is. It was a great movie. I had a few problems here and there, but Chris Pine, Gal Gadot, just pretty much all of that movie was awesome. I loved it. The only reason it's not on my top 10 list is because I didn't necessarily love what they did with the villain towards the end, but overall, it was a great movie, and I enjoyed it a lot. Dunkirk is another honorable mention. Christopher Nolan's probably my favorite director of all time, and the only reason Dunkirk is not on my top 10 list is because I thought it was a great movie. Absolutely, but it's not one of Nolan's movies that I'm going to rewatch over and over and over again. I just thought it was a really solid war movie. It was a different kind of war movie than what we'd seen before, but it just wasn't. It didn't get me quite as much as, say, Inception or The Dark Knight or Interstellar got me. Also, John Wick 2 was pretty awesome. Also, in the area of documentaries that I saw this year, the documentary Molly, directed by Scott Hayes, fantastic documentary, blew my mind. Definitely check that one out if you get the chance. And a movie that I saw just the other day that I didn't get the chance to review, but I really wanted to talk about a little bit, is The Shape of Water. I watched it on Christmas night, and it was awesome. It was really cool. Really strange. Michael Shannon was a great villain. Very imaginative, very whimsical movie. Guillermo del Toro did great work with The Shape of Water. It didn't quite grab me as much as my top 10 films did, but I thought it was a really good movie, and I would recommend that you go out and see it. It's definitely one that is thought-provoking and is worth seeing. Now let's do the top 10 list. Coming in at number 10 is Star Wars Episode 8: The Last Jedi. The reason it's so low on my list is because the movie, I think it's probably as far as a contained story and just a movie, I think it's probably the worst of the new Star Wars movies. I don't think it's as good as Rogue One. I don't think it's as good as Episode 7. However, I think I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Episode 7. Didn't quite enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Rogue One, but I think with Star Wars Episode 8, the reason it really made it into the top 10 is because there were so many surprises, especially in the second half of the movie, that I just wasn't expecting, and I was really pleased by them. I did not want a 2.5 hour homage to Empire Strikes Back, and it wasn't that, and I was very pleased with it in that way. Everything that had to do with Rey, Kylo Ren, and Luke, awesome, just great. It was fantastic, and also Snoke was really cool. But overall, that movie I had a lot of problems. I had a lot of problems with it, and I also had a lot of, just like, I was cheering a lot for a lot of it, but I was also kind of just doing this for, certainly parts of it. So it was a mixed bag, but it was certainly a movie that I will see many, many, many more times, and that is why it is on the top 10 list at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Split. This movie came out, I believe, January of this year, and James McAvoy's performance blew me away. I honestly don't even know if any Oscar nominations have come out. They probably haven't. But he probably won't get nominated just because he was in a movie so early in the year, but he absolutely should. It's honestly, the performance in Split by James McAvoy is one of the greatest performances I've probably ever seen. Like, he's so believable as a 9-year-old and as a woman and all this stuff. He's just incredible. And also, it was M. Night Shyamalan's comeback story. And I'm really excited for Glass. That's going to be coming out, I believe, in 2019. Just Split was a really good thriller. It's pretty funny, and it has an incredible performance, and that is why it's number 9. Coming in at number 8 is The Darkest Hour. I saw this movie yesterday, and I was like, yeah, that's going to be on my top 10 list. Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill, incredible. He was perfect. He was perfect as Winston Churchill. I believed every line that came out of his mouth. It was overall just a really good movie. It was pretty inspiring. It really drove home the idea that Winston Churchill and all these guys, like, they just drove home the amount of dread that these people felt, of the feeling that Nazi Germany was going to take Britain, and the resolve that Winston Churchill had was incredible. That he was like, no, we're going to fight them to the bitter end. And it's just a really good movie. And Gary Oldman was, I mean, I think he's probably going to get the Oscar for Best Actor, and I hope he does. I mean, it's just great. So, The Darkest Hour, definitely worth being number 8. Coming in at number 7 is It. This movie, it scared me, and it also made me laugh at the same time. It was awesome, and also cemented in my mind the idea that you float tall! And coming in at number 6 is Blade Runner 2049. Ryan Gosling in this movie was great. Harrison Ford in this movie was great. The entire cast was great in this movie. It was an absolutely worthy sequel to the original Blade Runner. I personally still like the original Blade Runner more, just because I just love the twist there at the end and all the, you know, I just loved it. And with Blade Runner 2049, it's one of those epics where I'm not going to watch it a ton in my life, but I definitely will watch it again, because it's a movie that it really tires you out, because it's just forcing you to use so much brain power when you watch it. It's a genius. It's just a genius movie. And Denis Villeneuve is now, I mean, there's no debate anymore. He's one of the greatest directors in the world. And, you know, give him like 1 or 2 more films, and if they're great, I mean, you can definitely start to say that he's one of the greatest directors of all time at that point. And Blade Runner 2049 is just, it's a masterpiece. I love Denis Villeneuve. Can't wait to see his adaptation of Dune. All right, now coming in at number 5 is Only the Brave. This movie rocked me to the core. All right, this movie, it made me cry at the end. It had me from the beginning. It started to the ending. I mean, it was a beautiful movie, extremely heartfelt, extremely emotional. Gave me a whole lot more respect for firefighters. I learned a lot about firefighters that I didn't know. And I mean, it was a great natural disaster movie, and it was a true story. And so it really gets you emotionally. Only the Brave does, and it makes you really understand what it must feel like for a small town to lose that many great men. Now coming in at number 5 is The Disaster Artist. Great story, Mark. This movie was everything. James Franco, I hope, gets nominated for an Oscar. He won't win, but I think he deserves a nomination, because he was so good as Tommy Wiseau. He was so perfect. The movie was funny, heartfelt. It was like a good drama, and it was kind of inspiring in a way. I mean, it was a brilliant movie. I loved it. And James Franco, Dave Franco, Seth Rogen, all of these guys, they really proved themselves to be they've proven themselves over and over to be awesome. I mean, James Franco, some of his directorial efforts have not been so great, but this one was off the charts great. And I'm so happy that I can say that, because it was one of my most anticipated movies of 2017, and it is now at number 4 on my top 10 best movies of 2017. I'm very happy about it. I'm very happy about it, Mark. All right, guys, so now we were at the top 3 of my list. These are what, in my opinion, are the top 3 best movies that I saw all year. And please remember, this list is completely made up of movies that I saw this year. I didn't see I, Tonya. I haven't seen all of the movies that came out this year, but these are the ones that I saw and that I think are the best. And these top 3 movies were the movies that took me by the shoulders, pulled me in close, and made violent love to me. Just act like you didn't hear that. Coming in at number 3 is War for the Planet of the Apes. Now, to me, War for the Planet of the Apes solidified the Apes trilogy as one of the greatest trilogies of all time. The action was there, the emotion, like Woody Harrelson was a great villain. I mean, it was just, this movie was the total package. And I mean, I walked out of it going, that was one of the greatest movies I have seen all year, and that will absolutely be in my top 3. And sure enough, it's number 3. And now coming in at number 2 is Wind River. I mean, the movie, it moved like an animal. And it was just, it attacked me, and it made me give everything that it wanted. I think I gave it my Virginity. Why? Moving on, anyways. Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen, the whole cast, the cast of the Native American actors, everybody in the movie was fantastic. The movie, like, you got to go see it. It was kind of, a lot of people have not even heard of it. It's fantastic. It's incredible. You've got to watch it. You will not be disappointed. If you are disappointed, then I probably won't like you. Okay. All right, guys. Now we are at number 1. Now this movie, it wrecked me like no other. It was so visceral, so intense, and so freaking manly that I didn't know what to do after I watched it. So I just screamed of joy because, I just screamed out of joy and just pleasure. I mean, this movie was me. So do you want to know what it is? My number 1 pick for the greatest and best movie of 2017 is Logan. This movie was my most anticipated movie of 2017, and it just happens to be my favorite of 2017. This movie completely wrecked me. It tore me up, and I laughed and I cried, and it was everything I could have ever wanted out of a Wolverine movie. Hugh Jackman went out in a way that no other superhero has gone out, like no other actor has gone out in such a fashion as Hugh Jackman did as Wolverine. I mean, this movie, I mean, it's the manliest movie of the decade. If I could marry Hugh Jackman's beard, just the beard, I would. I would somehow figure out how to put a ring on it. The action and violence was visceral, emotional, and it was some of the most intense action I've ever seen. The girl who played Laura, oh gosh, what's her name? I don't remember what her name is, but she was incredible. She's going to go, Daphne Keane. She's going to go places. I mean, I hope that they actually do go through with the X-23 movie that they've been talking about. I hope Disney doesn't make it. I hope they don't screw it up. I'm not super happy about the Disney Fox deal. But anyways, Logan was like the greatest present I could have ever gotten. Whenever I watched it, I remember I had this great release after the movie where I was just like, this is what I've been wanting for years. This is just what I've always wanted out of a superhero movie, out of any movie. I love, like, Hugh Jackman's face whenever he contorts with rage just makes me happy. I just can't. I love it, okay? Because I also have that rage deep within me. Sometimes I want to let it out on people. And, but I don't want to kill people also. That's a conflict that I have to live with. But to watch Hugh Jackman, take it down on bad guys, it's the most satisfying experience in the world. The movie was extremely deep. There were so many themes in this movie that were mature, that were adult, and that really spoke to just everybody. And the ending of the movie, I mean, spoiler alert, Logan dies, okay? And his death scene is completely emotional. Like, I cried like a baby. It was a picturesque moment. And, I mean, it was just the whole movie. The whole film was an experience like no other. Like, whenever I walked out of the movie, I was like, yeah, that's automatically in my top 20 to 30 favorite movies of all time. It may be even close to the top 10. It gets up there. It's definitely my number 2 favorite, my second favorite superhero movie of all time. It's right behind The Dark Knight, really close behind. I mean, Logan was everything, and I'm so happy. I'm just so happy that it was. It was beautiful. It was just a beautiful movie, and I hope Hugh Jackman gets nominated for Best Actor. I hope Patrick Stewart gets nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I hope James Mangold gets nominated for Best Director. Probably none of that will happen because it's a comic book movie, but, I mean, it's so much more, though. It's so much more. I talk about wanting comic book movies and superhero movies to challenge the genre, and Logan did that. It did that like no other comic book movie ever. I mean, The Dark Knight really challenged it, but Logan was a rated R movie that really dealt with rated R themes and rated R messages that are important, but are not light. not lighthearted. And it was a beautiful movie. Can't say enough about how much I love this movie. It is my number one, best favorite, whole 9 yards, just gift from heaven movie from 2017. Now, as for the worst movies I saw all this year, I'm not going to make a top 10 list because I try to avoid seeing the worst movies that that come out, because I just, I don't want to waste the money. But I did see a few movies that I think are worth mentioning as terrible movies, and they are Alien Covenant. It was a piece of crap movie, not a good movie at all. I really did not like Alien Covenant. The logic was stupid. The characters were stupid. I was never scared. It was a stupid movie. Oh my gosh. And also the Justice League. I thought the Justice League was crap. I mean, honestly, the only solid DC movie that has come out since the Dark Knight trilogy is Wonder Woman. All the others have been subpar or bad. And Justice League was honestly one of the worst. It wasn't quite as bad as Suicide Squad, but it was terrible. Just really, really bad. And so those are my top 2 worst movies that I saw this year. Of course, I didn't see the worst movies of the year because why would I do that? All right, guys. Well, that is my list for 2017. I'm curious to see and read what you guys' are. So please put your top 10 lists in the comment section below, and I'll check them out. And please remember, if you like this video, to like it and subscribe. Tell your friends about the channel. Have a happy new year, and never forget to be